There's been a lot of stuff being said on the internet that just doesn't quite make sense. What do you think? Let's get into the details. Dave Edwards, Treasure Valley Dave here, and today I wanted to delve into some of the things that are being said by local commentators in our Treasure Valley area, and maybe give some little context and some insight, and maybe just a dose of reality. So the first thing I want to talk about is this story by a local talk show host, and apparently he came across a video by the Roundhead guy. You might remember him from one of my earlier videos where Roundhead guy said a couple months ago that the entire U.S. housing market and consequently the entire economy of the entire United States, which would affect the entire economy of the entire world, the entire crash is going to start right here in the Boise housing market anytime now. That was a couple months ago, and he's still out there saying this kind of stuff. And our local talk show host kind of picked up on that. So I kind of want to look at that and see what it... Fair enough, the local talk show host, he's not really saying one thing or another. He's just kind of reporting on this video he saw. So Roundhead guy, he said that... examined the Boise market. We remember that video. There's a link to it there. And he's holds nothing back on his deep dive into the Boise housing market. Oh my gosh, we have red flags. He said the real estate growth is accelerating, but the demographic growth is not accelerating in the Boise area. No one's moving here. What's up with that? One thing he said, and make note of this, he said one of the biggest causes of the housing crash in 2007, 2008 was the markets that got hit the hardest where the housing prices outgrew wages. Is that really what happened? We'll be looking at another perspective on that in just a moment. To finish this out, local real estate experts have told us they question Roundhead guy's research based on a lack of access to the Intermountain MLS. Speaking of access to the MLS, if you're interested in getting some of our local Treasure Valley data on what the market's been doing since 2006, you are more than welcome to have it. Our MLS, the Intermountain MLS, they have this consumer-facing site. And you can come here, I'll be glad to send you the link, or you can copy it down, intermountainmls.com. And down here at the bottom, Consumer Tools, Statistics, you can click on that button there, and then Shazam, you can go all the way back to 2006, the month of May, and you can start pulling up your own data. And you can start analyzing that for yourself to see what you think about what was going on back then and in the months since then. Pretty cool, huh? This is what Roundhead guy is saying in his latest video. There's going to be a 40% drop in the housing market in where? Boise. Do you believe it or don't? So another article that I saw, and they actually talk with a local real estate agent, a great guy. I've met him many times. He's a real decent dude, but I'm not sure if this is more hype or what. But in the sudden reversal, buyers are now the ones with power. Why is that? Because we've gone from a seller's market to a buyer's market, is the implication from this. Is that really the case? Asking prices for houses are being slashed. Oh my gosh. Can I get an amen from the back row? The cracks in one of the nation's hottest housing markets mark an early sign that the U.S. boom, blah, 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 is losing intensity. It sounds like a crash is coming, huh? It also says that some destinations, builders who could hardly put homes up fast enough, now have inventory sitting. We've got so much inventory. Is that really the case? I think we'll just take a moment of clarity here. I think this kind of makes sense. See what you think. CBH says that in regards to pricing, as the market changes, our pricing must change with it. Does that sound like a crash? Or does that sound like this builder, the biggest builder in the state, I think number 29 in the entire country, is kind of saying, if the price, if the market's coming down, they're going to adjust and correct and come down with it a little bit. But here's another one. This is kind of a story from a Keller Williams agent back in Kansas City, but I think a lot of it applies to what we're talking about today. He was talking with somebody and they said, I personally believe now is a bad time to buy. They believe it. It's a faith-based thing that they're going through. Seems like some, actual data to compare with might be a good thing. And that person went on to say that I'm leaning towards saving more money for my own down payment and waiting for a buyer's market. Well, according to our local agent, we're in a buyer's market now. Things have turned. Roundhead Guy said the crash has started. Remember what Roundhead Guy said earlier, that the reason that the big crash happened back in 2007 was that wages weren't keeping up with prices? This guy says something a little bit different. He says that the market crashed because of high unemployment and risky loans are available to people that probably shouldn't have qualified. Roundhead Guy said wages weren't keeping up with prices. Maybe that's because people were out of a job. So maybe technically he was accurate on that, but the impression that he's giving is that houses were just out of control price-wise. But here's another thing too. The 5.9, this is nationwide, the 5.9 million single-family homes built between 2012 and 2019 do not offset the 9.8 million new households formed. Do you get what that's saying? It said that there was 5.9 million houses built and a need for 9.8. So let's say 6 million were built, almost 10 million were needed. There's a disconnect there. Sounds like low inventory to me. I couldn't find historical data that answered the questions that me and the Treasure Valley Dave team had about what's going on in the market. So that information from the MLS that I shared with you just a minute ago, I went out there, I grabbed that, put it into a spreadsheet, and I made some charts. Yeah, I'm an old school nerd that way, but let's go over this chart just a little bit. And you guys can have your own copy of this. We come out with this every single month. And why mine is better than some of the other ones you might get out there, the information that I have is the actual information, meaning the difference between this month and that month is the actual difference between this month and that month. Some of the other charts that you might see, some of those dynamic charts, they're a 12-month rolling average. So if something dramatic happened from last month to this month, you wouldn't really know it because it gets squished out in the 12-month rolling average type of a thing. This is some great information. Let's start up here. And, so Treasure Valley Dave, market summary. We always give you a little bit of an idea of what we're seeing. We have the top 5 areas for where houses are sold. And we have this for Ada County as well as Canyon County. And then we break out a look at existing versus new construction. This is pretty cool. Over a quarter of the people moved to the Nampa South area. And over there, the median price was $440. But coming in at number third, Caldwell, and their price is $390. Northwest Nampa, $375. So you can see within Canyon County or Ada County or in the entire country, it all comes down to location. We have some spots here that are quite a bit. Check it out. This is almost $70,000 less from Nampa Northwest to Nampa South. Down there they have a bunch of brand new high-end houses. Maybe up here we have more existing type homes. The price versus the national average for the past year. So this last 13 months, we have a comparison of in Canyon County, and I keep saying Canyon County because that's where I live. That's where I do most of my real estate. Certainly not all, but I would say the largest portion. And the reason for that is, we'll take a look. The last month Our median price in Canyon County is $422. Ada County, $534. So you can see that in Canyon County, your dollar will go a lot further than it might in Ada County. If you need to be in Ada County because of your job, or maybe you want a really nice, comfortable home up in Eagle, we sell those too, and obviously glad to help you out. But if you're coming up here and you're trying to get the most bang for your buck, maybe you're just escaping California with just the skin on your teeth, and it's a race to get to the border before Newsom does something else to you, Canyon County is often a very popular place to end up. So let's take a look at the last 13 months. So September of 2020, you can see that Canyon County was actually well below the average across the entire country. So 310 versus 342. And it held that way even up through December and even January. The local price here was just about the same as the national price. So, it's gone up, our prices here in Canyon County, but it wasn't that long ago, and it was still, below or right at the national average. You should have moved up here a year ago, huh? So February, you can see that we started going up in price. National average is staying the same. National average is starting to come up. But even this last September 2021, we're at 422 for the Canyon County average. The national average is 376. So there's, 50-something thousand difference. But back to this up here, you don't have to spend 422. You can come over here and spend 375, which is actually below the national average. And when they have the national average, that's the average of the entire country. That's all the expensive places. That's all the dirt cheap places. So, but it's the average. When people say, gosh, Dave, you know what? It's just too expensive there now. It's the same expense as it is just about anywhere else in the country on average. So don't let that mindset that goes, oh, it's too expensive there. Yes, you should have moved a year ago. Yes, you should have moved several years ago. And we're going to explore that next. So these next few charts, they all look back to May of 2006. And all the way up through September of this year. On this chart up here, this is the monthly price and inventory units. Standard economics, you have supply, demand, and then that kind of sets the price. We're kind of doing this backwards. We got the price and the supply, and you can see what demand has, the effect demand has on everything. So let's look back. In that one article that we're looking at, it said that before 2007, that inventory and demand were pretty much keeping in line with each other. Then, of course, we had the big crash. People were getting loans that maybe they shouldn't have. Unemployment was starting to kick in. Wow, do you remember that? That was only a few years after 9/11 that really shook the entire economy. And maybe there's still some of that going on. But anyway, we start at May 2006. The blue line here is what prices were doing. So prices were chugging along, 2007, 2008. They're starting to dip down. Why are they dipping down? The orange line here is inventory. The inventory had just shot through the roof up here and kept going up and up and up. And this is Canyon County numbers. This is not the nation. This is Canyon County numbers. So we had a lot of inventory, and we had so much inventory that kept pushing prices down. So they kept coming down and down and down, and then inventory started getting used up. And you can see just about here at the beginning of 2013 is about where the two lines cross, almost. If we look over here at Ada County, we can see that that's exactly what happened as the two lines did cross. The difference between Ada County and Canyon County is that we have more houses being built because people were seeing that there's more jobs coming out to Canyon County. It's not just agriculture anymore. So there's probably a little bit more demand in Canyon County as far as how many people per unit. But Ada County, just to start off with, has a lot more people. Anyway, back to this. So about 2013, inventory starts to come back up because we have a little bit more demand, more prices. Prices keep kind of inching up, but they're not going crazy. The inventory comes up, it comes down. And if you notice this, inventory goes up, inventory goes down. Why would that be? Because of winter. It's Idaho. It gets a little bit colder in the winter. And so that's why we have these cycles right here. Speaking of those cycles, back here is Snowmageddon. And we still did pretty good. So don't let the snow bother you too much. Anyway, but the prices keep going up. And so it's like, I don't know, right about here, it's still pretty normal. But all of a sudden, prices start going more and more and more. But what's going on with inventory? Well, it starts coming down. So, you know Roundhead guy, right? He told us in a video, and he was looking at this little part right here. He's going, oh my gosh, everyone panic now, because look at this. Inventory is going through the stinking roof. Really? Step back a couple feet, and you can see like inventory is, well, maybe a little bit low. Certainly it's not high. High would be like way up here. But it is going up. And so why aren't prices coming down? Oh, well, maybe they are just a little bit. Maybe that's to be expected now that we have a little bit more inventory. Let's look at this next chart here, monthly price and inventory to sold ratio. The main thing on this one, the price line is exactly the same as the other one, but this inventory to sold, what this means is that right here in 2008, that for every house that's sold, there was almost 25 houses that were in inventory. That's a lot of excess inventory. What we have over here, about a year ago, every house that was being sold, there is about 0.2, 0.3, 0.4 house in inventory. So there's a lot less inventory than what we need, which again is reflected up here, which again is reflected right here because price is going up. This is another cool chart too. The blue is the homes that are sold, the number of homes that are sold, and then the orange is how long they were on the market. So you can see back here in 2016 that there was a lot of decent amount of homes being sold right here in the, I don't know, between 500 and 600. And then the crash is coming. No one's buying houses. It's coming down. There's just not nearly as many homes being sold. And then it starts to come up a little bit. More homes being sold. And this is just about where we come back to being normal again. Right about there. There's kind of a pattern forming here. Isn't that the great thing? And kind of at this point, we start seeing the blue outpace the orange. We just have more blue. It's just kind of gradually going up. And then you can see that we have more homes sold. So let's back up just a little bit and take a look at why are these all jiggy-jaggy like that? Well, for the homes that are sold, you can see that the lowest time is right about the end of the year, beginning of the year. And it's typically, one is because people don't particularly care to move during the holidays. They'd rather spend that time, with friends and family and doing things like that. Sometimes it's harder to move during the holidays, weather, snow, things like that, right in the middle of a school year. Also, there might be less inventory, so there'll be less to be sold. Prices might be slightly higher, just because there's a little bit less, but then there's less demand. But there's definitely every year you can see that the number of homes sold drops, and a pretty decent amount every single year. It goes up, it goes down. So what have we been doing all summer? Oh, we've been going up. And guess what? We're almost into November. We would expect to see this, I don't know, come back down. So this one was the COVID drop. So maybe that's a little bit lower than normal. But if we include that, the seasonality, maybe we'd be right about here by the time January, February get here. That would be a drop, but that would be completely 100% expected, don't you think? Ada County is very similar. I mean, very similar. The big ups and the big downs. Look at that. They didn't sell nearly as many over in Ada County. Canyon County is the place where you get more bang for your bucks or selling more homes. So that's kind of my look at all of the scare tactic that's going on. I mean, they're telling you that the crash has already started. There's way too much inventory. Oh my gosh, the sky is falling. Prices are out of control. It's just like they're so darn expensive that we can't afford it. Well, we've shown you that one, they're not that expensive when you compare it to the national average. The national average has shown prices have been going up all across the country. We don't have too much inventory. We still have too little inventory. And the one thing that's there's two things that are going to affect the prices that we have, let's say right here in Canyon County. One is more inventory, more supply, and then less demand. Our demand's really being driven right now by these blue states with these governors and politicians, not just current ones, but just the piling on of year after year of all these Marxist type, draconian type things that if you're out there earning a living, they're coming after you. And they're making, your life hell with the homeless, the crime, the taxes, the cost of fueling up your car. They're making everything just as crappy as they can. I think we're going to have some pretty good demand up here for some time. Unless you know something I don't, the one thing that we can do right now to help bring prices down is more inventory. And here's Roundhead guys saying, oh my gosh, we have too much inventory. It's going to start the entire crash that's going to wreck the entire world. All starts right here in Boise. So I know we've gone through a lot of stuff today. And I'd be glad to send you our charts. We can send that out to you every month if you like, just because we want you to have the most accurate data possible. And I want you to make up your own mind. It's like, is the crash coming? Is it going to be so terrible? Here in the Treasure Valley, are there places where the crash is going to happen? Maybe in California, maybe Portland. I'm not seeing it yet. My friends in these places are saying they have very strong markets, just like everywhere else in the entire country. But don't wait too long. What if your market in California crashes because something the governor does, and everyone's saying, you know what, it's just time to go? I'd rather have you guys at the beginning of that exodus as opposed to at the end. Because it's kind of like the cakewalk, and the music stops, everybody else has a seat, and you're standing there with that look on your face. Don't be the one with the look. Don't be the one that says, I wish I would have moved 2 years ago or 5 years ago. So if you found this information helpful, please go ahead and share it, like and subscribe. We come out with new videos every week. We can't help you unless you raise your hand. Let us know how we can help you. Give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email. Whatever it takes. And typically what we do, if you're relocating from out of the area, we're going to head and work with you on when you're coming up to do your fact-finding trip. We're going to sit with you right here in the office. We're going to go over some of your dreams, your hopes, what it is that you're looking for. Then we'll go out and look at some different communities to find out what's the best fit for you. We might even look at some houses. Or maybe you're going to say, Dave, you know what? I'm done with being in California. I'm ready to move right now. I'm on my way. U-Haul's loaded, out in the street idling. find me a house. And we can do that as well. And we do that quite often. It's quite amazing. We have sold houses that people have never seen before until they actually pull up in the driveway with the moving truck. We've sold houses that people have never even been to Idaho before. And why do we do that? One, we're very video focused, and we will go out and we'll do video tours of houses and neighborhoods as if you're sitting right there with us. So that's very helpful and it's very effective. So this is Dave Edwards, Treasure Valley Dave, looking forward to helping you get home.